Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. So I, 26 male, am about to get married this fall and am running into family drama. So my parents are divorced. They got divorced when I was 16 due to my mom having an affair. My mom then proceeded to move in with the guy she cheated with, and I refused to move with her. So I lived with my dad fully from the age of 16 on. My mom, to her credit, did not try to keep our relationship, but I was pretty much disgusted with her and refused to meet her boyfriend, now husband. I didn't show up to their wedding, and this caused a lot of tension. I don't attend any holidays with them, and I have met my stepsister, stepdad's daughter, one time by accident. I've soft ghosted my mom since college. Like, I will respond if it's an emergency, but other than that, I've kind of removed her from my life. My dad remarried a few years ago to a wonderful woman named Debbie. Debbie was a family friend, and I've known her a lot of my life. Me and her have a great relationship. So as me and my fiancée, Ashley, 25 female, were going over details for the wedding, I had a few requests. 1. No stepdad or stepsister were to be invited. I don't know these people and could care less. 2. My dad, Debbie, and mom will be sitting at the head table with my stepbro, Debbie's son, 22 male, and Ashley's family. 3. Debbie's son will be included in the wedding as an usher. 4. Since Debbie and my dad are helping me out with the wedding cost, I feel like it's only appropriate to include Debbie in some way. So we would do 2 mother-son dances, my mom going first, then Debbie. 5. If my mom wants to throw a fit over any of this, she can stay home too. Well, my mom blew up when I told her all these things that would be happening, claiming that my dad and Debbie put me up to this. I said that wasn't true, but since Debbie and dad were helping pay while she was not, she really doesn't have a leg to stand on, and that she can stay home if she's going to be upset, and Debbie can do the mom role including the toast. Family tradition for us that the parents give a toast. Well, my fiancé, who has a difficult relationship with a parent, is getting on me, saying that I'm putting my mom in a difficult spot with these requests. I said my mom put me in a difficult spot with her actions, and I'm not about to make her life easier at this point. And before people in the comments recommend the typical therapy and sit-down conversations, those have already happened, and I'm in a good place with my thought process. I just frankly don't care about my mom's feelings, or if she's uncomfortable coming alone. It really isn't my issue. But my fiancé is saying I'm being an a-hole and to show empathy. Am I the a-hole? Edit for people asking if Debbie is okay with this. The only reason my mom is getting invited at all is because my dad and Debbie wanted me to invite her. Debbie was my mom's co-worker for years, so she's kind of staying out of everything. She did, however, show excitement about the mother-son dance idea, but that was the extent of the conversations we've had. Honestly, you should probably not have invited your mother at all. This would have saved you a lot of headaches. You cut this woman out of your life and, in your words, are disgusted by her. Why on earth would you invite her? If you're worried about appearances, I think some meltdowns at your reception will draw more attention than her simply not being there. That all said, I can see her frustration. What she did sucked, but she was your mom growing up. Debbie, while lovely, became your stepmom when you were almost already an adult. Even though your mom may deserve it, your arrangements are a slap in the face. So it's not shocking she is upset. Not the a-hole, but for real, you shouldn't have bothered inviting her at all. Not the a-hole. You were nice enough to include your mom. She should understand how awkward it would be to have her affair partner and his kid at the head of the table with your dad and family. Your compromise on 2 dances and both moms having a place was more than fair. She can RSVP no if she feels entitled to your guest list. I just frankly don't care about my mom's feelings. Oh, you care. A lot. It's why you're using your wedding, which would be about your own marriage, not how your mom ruined hers 10 years ago, as an excuse to hurt your mom. You're the a-hole to your fiancé by making it all about this issue. She wants to turn the potentially wedding-ruining drama down here and deserves to be listened to. I, female 27, am engaged to my fiancé, male 45, and we plan to get married in July. I have 2 kids with my late husband. My soon-to-be mother-in-law, who I will refer to as mother-in-law, does not know this full context as I am a private person and am not overly close with her. He passed when I was 23, and I really only discuss his passing once I am incredibly close with someone. I've only spoken to mother-in-law at a handful of holidays, and never had a conversation that extended far beyond the basics. Now, to get into this, we recently hosted our first Thanksgiving. I felt very accomplished and was excited to share this moment with my soon-to-be family. The only issue being that I had totally forgotten the mashed potatoes, which seemed to have mother-in-law in a very pissy mood. Thankfully, fiancé's sister offered to go to the store to buy some instant mashed potatoes, to which I was very grateful. She asked me to check in on her youngest daughter, who was in an upstairs bedroom with my kids and had been very quiet recently. Moms know this is never a good thing. I, of course, agree. I go to check on them and find them fully engrossed in Encanto. Left sitting at the table downstairs were my soon-to-be mother-in-law, father-in-law, brother-in-law, fiancé, and most importantly, sister-in-law's oldest daughter, female 15. As I make my way downstairs, I do note the silence at the table, but don't think much of it. After the dinner, however, while everyone is leaving, sister-in-law's oldest daughter pulls me aside and asks to speak to me. I ask her if everything is okay, and she explains that while I was gone, mother-in-law made a comment, something to the note of how she didn't get why fiancé would get with someone who is already used up, and that running around with someone like that would ruin his reputation among men, along with another comment that she said she wasn't comfortable repeating. She said she wouldn't have felt right if she hadn't told me. I thanked her profusely, honestly completely in shock at what I had just heard. Mother-in-law had already left at this point. I'm a very confrontational person because I believe it gets drama over with. I called her and asked her if it was true, and she got really quiet before admitting that it was. She said something along the lines of, "I'm glad you know how everyone feels now. I was getting tired of hiding it." When I started to cry, she replied, and this is a direct quote, "You act like an S, you get treated like one." In a moment of anger, I uninvited her for my wedding. My fiancé is very upset and is threatening to leave if I don't fix this all now. He and our friends are all calling me the a-hole, and many have been ostracizing me. I am open to criticism, but I really don't think I did anything wrong. So, am I the a-hole for uninviting my soon-to-be mother-in-law for my wedding? Your mother-in-law called you an S on Thanksgiving, and your fiancé wants you to apologize? You have a fiancé problem. This relationship is already over. Figure out how to protect yourself and get out. I would uninvite myself from the wedding. That sounds like a horrible situation. I'm so sorry. I don't understand how your fiancé thinks you're the a-hole. If he doesn't have your back now, he never will. I'm so sorry, OP. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, and you have a fiancé problem. He should have stood up for you. Hell, the only person there with the integrity to stand up for you at all was a 15-year-old. Think about how this woman is going to treat your children. They deserve better. You deserve better. I, 28 female, have a cousin, Mia, who is a pretty famous actress. Our family isn't really fazed by her being famous, and to me, she's just my cousin and friend. But this has caused a problem at events with other people, like at my sister's wedding last year. We didn't really think about Mia being famous. My sister and I just thought of her like any other cousin and seated her as such. But during the ceremony, when we had asked for no phones out, people from the groom's side, including his friends, took out phones to take pictures of Mia and turned around to look, point at her, even during the vows. It was a pretty big disturbance, and right after the ceremony ended, people got up to go ask Mia for selfies, which continued during the reception, where people came up to her during dinner and toasts to ask for pictures. My sister and Mia were both upset, and Mia told me afterwards that she felt awful and that she ruined the wedding. I don't think she ruined it completely. It was probably cool for her fans, but it did mess up the ceremony. My fiancé and I got engaged a few months ago and were planning to get married in, hopefully, early 2021. I don't want a repeat of what happened at my sister's wedding. It might be that I'm selfish or an a-hole, but I'd like to be able to say my vows without half of the guests turning around, whispering loudly and taking photos. I want Mia to be able to attend the wedding though, so I was thinking of asking her to maybe not sit right up front with all the other family and sort of slip into the back quietly, or just attend the reception. My fiancé comes from a big family, and he has a lot of teenage and college-age cousins, nieces, and nephews that he and I know will definitely recognize Mia. I suggested telling them and their parents beforehand, and he said that would probably make them more determined to show up with their phones and come prepared to ask her annoying questions. Mia and I were FaceTiming about the wedding, and I told her about the ceremony issue. I explained why it was a problem and suggested either she sit in the back or go to the reception. She said she was a little bit hurt, but she understood and didn't want to have another ceremony like my sister's. Well, she ended up telling my aunt this, and my aunt told my mom how I was excluding Mia just because she had fans. And now they're both calling and texting me to have Mia sit in the front with all my other cousins, and saying I don't really care about this family. Mia's also been sort of chilly with me when we text, and I'm starting to wonder if I'm the a-hole. I just wanted a quiet ceremony. Am I the a-hole? No a-hole, but I can understand why Mia is hurt. Ideally, after the last wedding, she would have volunteered to slip into the back so you didn't have to ask. But it sounds like a really awkward situation all around. The fans are the real jerks here. If it were me, I'd be having a really small wedding, just close friends and family, and speaking with people up front if necessary to ask them not to take selfies with Mia. Oh, this is a tough one. I'm tempted to say no a-hole. I mean, I get where you're coming from, but I can't understand why Mia is hurt, especially because it's really not her fault. I don't know. Would you be able to be very strict with the other guests? If the kids were teenaged, maybe get their parents to understand that under no circumstances do they disturb the wedding. If I had acted like that as a teenager, my parents would have got me in check real quick. I mean, it seems like you're in a really tough spot. No a-hole. I think it's fair to want to be the center of attention on your wedding day. I also think you came up with a good compromise. However, it sounds like y'all are close-ish enough that you talk on a semi-regular basis for her to be chilly towards you. So I don't think it's unreasonable for her to feel hurt or like you're punishing her for something outside her control. P.S. I'm really hoping that since you went with Mia, your cousin is Anne Hathaway, like from the Princess Diaries. My wife is homophobic. So was I. We've both been working on it, but her upbringing was harsher than mine, so she's progressing at a slower rate. My daughter is marrying a woman, and my wife isn't going to the wedding. I'm going to the wedding, but I don't like the way they've been talking about my wife at the rehearsal. It always starts with my daughter's girlfriend. She'll say something out loud like, "Oh, I know who we're not letting around our children." Someone will ask, "Who are you talking about?" She'll point at me and say, "His wife is so homophobic, she can't even come to her own daughter's wedding." And then she'll say to me, "You're a good guy. I don't know how you put up with her." And I'll say, "Because I was there a few months ago, so I know what she's going through, and I see the work that she's been putting in." The girlfriend will pat my hand and say, "You don't have to make excuses for her." I talked to my daughter about this, and she just shrugged and said, "Well, I guess Mom should have been here." I called my wife and told her what they were saying, and that I'm coming home. But she said that someone needed to be at our daughter's wedding and to just let them say whatever they wanted about her. Today they were drinking, as we did the dinner table rehearsal of how everyone would walk in and where we would sit. The guy decided to give a toast and say, "I can't ducking stand religious homophobic B. Why can't people just love who they love?" I just want to give a toast to my future wife's dad for overcoming that and being patient enough to stay with his B of a wife. That was too much for me. Everyone was cheering, and I got up and walked away from the table. My daughter caught up to me and asked where I was going. I told her I'm going to my hotel room to pack. She begged me to come back inside, and I eventually relented and said I wouldn't go home, but that I'm going back to the hotel room and that she should talk to her girlfriend because if it happens again, I'm going home. My daughter got angry and tried to defend her girlfriend by saying that she was really hurt and embarrassed by my wife not showing up. I said, "Just like you got mad right now and tried to defend your wife, how do you think I feel listening to these strangers call my wife and your mother a B? I'm going back to the hotel room, and if I hear any more talk like this, I'm leaving." She said, "If you leave for home, don't come back," and went back inside. I went to the hotel room and I was getting ready to go home, but my wife called because our daughter had texted her that I had ruined the rehearsal and I was about to not show up for the wedding, and convinced me to stay. I'm giving it one more chance. There's one more rehearsal tonight and the wedding's tomorrow. Am I the a-hole for ruining the rehearsal by walking out like that? Would I be the a-hole if they say something crazy tonight and I leave and not show up for the wedding? Everyone sucks here, but your wife most of all. Like, no, they probably shouldn't be calling your wife a B to your face. It's rude. But honestly, she's so filled with hatred for her own daughter that she won't attend the wedding. What do you expect? You're the a-hole. It's your kid's wedding, man. The guy who called your wife a B was also an a-hole, but that is not your daughter. She shouldn't be punished for his behavior. especially not for something as harsh as not having either of her own parents at this once-in-a-lifetime event. You have to be patient with some strangers calling your wife a B for a tiny fraction of your life. She has to be patient with her own parents despising who she is every single day of hers. Your family, as a whole, clearly has some healing to do. That healing is not going to always feel good. But dealing with this, just for this event, will bring you one step closer to assuring her that you are actually genuinely willing to be there for her now. I sincerely wish you all the best of luck in overcoming this. Not the a-hole. I totally agree that you can't sit and let your wife be spoken of in that way. I think the step you've neglected to take is to speak with your daughter and future daughter-in-law and tell them that you understand how they could be hurt and upset about your wife's behavior, but that you hope they'll keep the negative comments to themselves when you're there. Reiterate your support for them and ask them to support you as you try and lead your wife toward the right choice of embracing your daughter and her wife as she is. I, 27 female, and my friend, 27 male, have known each other since high school, and I'm infertile, I found out in college. I meet my husband there, and we have now got an adoptive child together. When my friend met his now wife at my wedding to my husband, she was invited and decided to make a toast saying have a happy marriage, but obviously no children. I bursted into tears after my wedding because of that. It took everything I have not to do it in my wedding. She has made the joke every year, every chance she got. Last year, her and my friend started trying for a baby and found out that she was infertile. I said join the club, and this is how it feels. Everybody laughed, but she burst into tears and said that was the worst thing in the world anyone could say. The week after that, her friends and family started blowing up my phone, saying that I was an a-hole. I reminded him what she said to me all those years, and they agreed, but she still thinks I am one. Everyone's on my side, but it's been 2 months, and her and my friend are having problems now because of it. So I'm wondering, am I the a-hole? Update. I would like to say that I have told her repeatedly I didn't like the joke, and also I did end up apologizing, but my maid and her are still having problems and still blames me. I don't know what else I can do. I did feel very bad after I said it, but at the same time, she knew I didn't like it to me, but continued saying it for over 5 years. Not the a-hole at all. Your comment isn't even in the same realm as including it in a wedding speech. You even included yourself by welcoming her to the club. In fact, what you did was the perfect acknowledgement because it highlights how crappy she made you feel all those years without singling her out like she did to you. If anything, I would say you went easy on her. All these people saying you were just as mean haven't thought this through very well. Not the a-hole. Karma is a harsh mistress, and your infertile friend, well, she got cattle whipped. That's what happens when you put awfulness out into the universe. I make it a point to never ask women about having children. If they have any, plan to have any, I just find it to be a very sensitive topic because we never know what they are going through. What she did was so ducked up, and she makes the same joke every year. I'm sorry, but I just don't feel that bad for her. It's a wicked thing to bring up someone's infertility, especially at their wedding, and not just once, but every year. Now look at her, upset because she basically told her welcome to the club. Girl, yes, now she will understand those jokes she made weren't funny at all, huh? Not the a-hole.